Good morning, students, and welcome to the second day of our orientation program for first years. I need to introduce myself again to some of you who may not have been here in yesterday's session due to a number of reasons, possibly load shedding, possibly connectivity issues, possibly data issues. So it's good to welcome you again this morning on Tuesday, 8th February at 10 a.m. Today, we will be discussing the college handbook, and it's quite an intense book. You will be going through an orientation with regards to the college handbook where your peer academic mentor will be taking you through a workshop on the college handbook. So I'm just going to touch on specific sections of the college handbook. I'd like us to go to maybe page 30, please. Kwazi, if you could go to page 30 for us. Thank you. We need students to look at the college terms that are used in this handbook. You have a glossary of terms, which gives you the meaning of the definitions that you need to become familiar with. And a good example to start off with is the word curriculum. So in the chat box, I'd like students to put what they think is the meaning of the word curriculum. Those who don't know, you've got your online dictionary. You can quickly do a Google search for your online dictionary. Please go a bit further to find the words. Kwazi, to see if you can look it up there under the begin definition. There we go. Stop. Perfect. So you can see the definition of terms. There's a lot of terms, yeah. So the definition of the word curriculum, that's what we're looking at, curriculum. Now, we can't go through all the definitions. It is in the college handbook. The college handbook is on our website, University of KwaZulu-Natal.ac.za. You go to the College of Law and Management site, a web page, and you will scroll, just put your cursor on that page. You will pick up eventually and come down to college handbook. So I see I've got a couple of definitions coming through. That's great. I'd like you to continue further forward. Kwazi, actually, no, go back, Kwazi. I'm going to talk about academic monitoring and exclusion. And so if you could find the academic monitoring and exclusion policy, it's further towards the front of the handbook. No, I want the policy further up, Kwazi. So while we're finding the academic monitoring and exclusion policy, which is an important policy you need to know, I need some of you to also look up the term and the meaning of the term. Thank you, Kwazi. We're getting there. Continue. We're getting there. I want the students to look up the term exclusion. Right, stop there. Thank you. Thank you, Kwazi. So there are two words you are looking up. You are looking up the term curriculum and what does it mean? And the second one is exclusion and what does it mean? So I'm just going to stop here for a moment and I want to talk about academic, which was lovely. Yesterday, we had quite a few students giving me definitions of academic and I took note of those definitions. So Natasha said, academic means not of practical relevance, more theoretical interest. So that's one meaning of academic. It's not necessarily of practical relevance, but mainly of theoretical interest. So some of you would need to look up the word theoretical as well. Because if you do not understand the term theoretical, which comes from the word theory, you need to start using your online dictionaries throughout your academic studies. So that's correct, Natasha. That's one meaning or definition of the term academic. Another meaning would be academic relating to education and scholarship. If some of you do not know the meaning of the word scholarship, you need to look up scholarship. which relates to the root term scholar. That's also correct, Adelia. Non-pendulo said academic refers to causes of study taken in a school or a college. That's correct, causes of study, which refers to your subjects that you were taught in matric, and at university we call subjects modules. Shruti said academic relates to schools, studies, and thinking rather than practical skills. So again, we're looking at the term academic, which is right there in front of you. You are here to learn how to think critically, how to research critically, how to understand theories and apply theories at a university. This sort of studying and learning is very different from your secondary schooling system. We are pushing you and challenging you to extend yourself intellectually. Intellectually comes from the word your intelligence and your aptitude and how smart and clever you are. We are pushing you. We are here to teach you how to think. And by the way, if you think that we as lecturers are wrong, you are welcome to critique us respectfully. So you need to debate and discuss and challenge your lecturers and challenge the content in the textbook and challenge the models and the theories in articles. And if you've got a better approach with substantive reasons, substantive arguments, evidence, which is the research focus, then you can lay a strong argument. And if some of you have been following the Zondo Commission over the past 3 years with regard to state capture, you can see how our Minister Zondo, or the Judge Zondo rather, always speaks about argument. You need to have your facts and your evidence before you can state something. You can't just come with an opinion that's not based on fact. Now I'm going to stop with the academic for a moment, and we're going to go to the term monitoring. Nobody gave me a definition of the term monitoring, but it means to monitor yourself. How do you monitor yourself? Now, there are two aspects to monitoring. There's self-monitoring, which you as a university student are required to do. You monitor yourself. You monitor whether you are attending your lectures, stats, pracs, and SI sessions every day, every week. You're monitoring yourself to see if you are studying, engaging in self-study or independent study. You are monitoring yourself to see if you've underperformed in test 1. Have you reached out to an ADO, your peer mentor, your peer wellness mentor, to try and get guidance on what are you struggling with academically? You are monitoring yourself socially in case there are social factors impacting on your learning. Maybe there's a death in the family. Maybe there's an issue of gender-based violence at home. Are you reaching out to student support services so that your social impacts don't affect your academic work and academic studies? So that comes with the monitoring. Are you engaging in self-monitoring, which is very important? As a university student, you're an 18-year-old. You're allowed to register to vote. You're allowed to drive a car, and you're allowed other freedoms. But with those freedoms comes responsibilities. And so are you engaging in self-monitoring? Now, we as the College of Law and Management Studies, we also monitor to see how you're doing. Kwazi, I see you've moved on to a different link. You've moved, please, if you could go back to where we were. The teaching and learning unit through the AGOs and through your mentors also monitor your academic performance. But remember, we're dealing with 1,600 first years in the College of Law and Management Studies. And it is very hard for a few people to try and follow up and chase up on how you're doing academically and socially. So we would respectfully encourage you to take the initiative and reach out for academic support and social support. Academic support, your peer academic mentors, your AGOs, your tutors, your lecturers. For social support, your peer wellness mentors, you'll be given 2 mentors as a first-year student, your peer wellness mentors for any social issues, and you've got student support services, which are our qualified registered psychologists and counselors within the college. So there's a lot of personnel in the college to assist you academically and socially. You need to reach out for the help. Now I'm going to come to the third word, which is the exclusion word. And you have to think again carefully, who is excluding who? Is the university excluding you? Or are you excluding yourself by failing to monitor how your studies are going, by failing to attend all your lectures, stats, pracs, SI sessions, by engaging in self-study, by failing to reach out for help when help is available? So exclusion really implies looking at yourself very carefully. Am I struggling, and who can I approach timelessly? Do not wait the day before the test, the day before the examination to get help. It is sometimes too late for anyone to help you the day before. Reach out timelessly, which means reach out early from the first, second week of lectures, the minute you are struggling with content. The minute you have a social issue impacting on you, you need to reach out to your peer academic mentor, your peer wellness mentors, your ADOs, your lecturers, student support services, which are your psychologists, and they will chat to you on Friday. You will meet them in person on Friday when you attend the session again, 10 a.m. in the morning. I think I'm going to conclude there. Stabiso, can you give me my time, please?
You still have minutes, Prem.
Thank you, Stabiso. Let's go to page 65. Thank you. So while we're tracing down to page 65, we're going to look at the exclusion policy in a simple way. It's quite a dense policy. Continue, Kwazi. It's a dense policy. You need time to read it. Continue. I'll tell you which table. Did I stop this? Okay, no, continue. Continue, please. Continue. It's a dense policy. It's in the handbook. Continue, Kwazi. And I think you're coming to it now. Continue once more. It's a dense policy, quite right. Stop there. Just go back to the table. A little bit. Yes, perfect. Stop. Right. Progression and exclusion table. Right. This is what we want to avoid. We want all of you to pass in this college. And we want you to pass as Dean's Commendation students. A Dean's Commendation student is a student who has a 60% and above average for all 5 modules that you are registered for in semester 1 and also semester 2. It's usually 5 modules. Some degrees will have 4 modules. That's fine. You all did your homework yesterday and you reviewed pages 57, I said, to 83 you reviewed. So you know your curriculum structure and your degree structure. I'm now just looking at the BCom general degree and looking at the BCom general degree progression and exclusion table. So you have all come out of a matric. Some of you have done brilliantly. You've got an A average, a B average, a C average, a D average. And you thank your teachers, your parents, your caregivers, your gogos, all your church ministers, your mulanas for helping you through your secondary education system. You thank all of them. Now you put aside all those wonderful marks, and this is a new learning ground. You are now in a tertiary institution. No more primary, no more secondary. You are expected to achieve beyond your matric. And you're going to be shocked, and this is to forewarn you, means you are forearmed, that a lot is going to be expected of you. So your studying starts from yesterday that you were given work to do. You're already studying from yesterday. That's how you're preparing in advance. So we want you to pass, we want you to be successful, and we want you to all be Dean's Commendation students, which means 60% and above for all your modules, semester 1. No excuses, because there are enough support personnel to assist you on the journey. Reach out early. Now let's look at the table. If you look at the number of semesters for a 3-year degree, it should be 2, 4, 6 semesters, which equals to 3 years. So let's just look at the first semester, which is where you are, semester 1, in order to avoid being excluded, you need to pass one of those 5 modules. So you find a module which is a subject. For example, Economics 101. Most of you have to do Economics 101 for your degree, except I believe the LLB students. So most of you are doing Economics 101. It's a mandatory core module. You have to do it. You've got no choice. It's 16 credits. So this table is saying, if you pass 1 out of your 5 modules, you will still be a student. But guess what? You're going to have a label, a very ugly label called risk, a risk student, meaning you are failing to progress. You're only passing 1 out of your 5 modules, and we need you to pass. And more importantly, you need to pass 5 out of 5 modules. So we are worried about you. And we don't want you to get that risk label. Nobody should be labeling nobody. But if you are failing to study and failing to attend your lectures and failing to seek help, that will most likely be the issue you land up in. So avoid that, right? So you're still going to be in the college, but you're going to be a risk student with a terrible label. We don't like the label. Now, if you move to the next column, it says minimum progression for good academic standing. We want you to retain your good academic standing that you came from your matric year. So whether you're an A aggregate student or a D aggregate student, it does not matter. We want you to maintain a good progression, which means 64 credits. That should be around 4 out of your 5 modules you've passed for first semester. Not bad. 4 out of 5, not bad. However, it is not what we expect. We want you to pass 5 out of 5 modules, which is the normal progression, 80 credits. So if you registered for 5 modules, we expect you to pass 5 modules. You are expected to attend the full academic program, lectures, stats, pracs, your SI sessions as support sessions. You need to reach out to your mentors, to the ADOs, to your lecturers, to student support services, if any social or academic factors are impacting on your academic studies. So I'm going to conclude here to say that is what you aim for. Keep a 3-year degree within 3 years. If you look at the second semester, it's 160 credits, normal progression, which means you've passed your first and your second semester, passing all 10 modules. You are on the way to success. If you look at your 3rd semester and your 4th semester, which is next year as a 2023 student, again, you'll end up with maybe 288 credits at the end of that 4th semester, which is your 2nd year. And finally, for a 3-year degree student, which is most of you, except for your LLB students, are 4 years. Bachelor of Business Science, you are 4 years. You will end up after 3 years with 416 credits. Hip, hip, hooray. You can smile, you can jump. The same excitement we saw with the matriculants. You all got your results on the 20th of January and 21st. And I read in the Berea Mail and the Mercury, and I saw smiles and laughter, and people were kicking their feet up into the air. And I was happy, and my family was happy because matriculants in our family also, got their bachelor's passes. That same attitude and joy and relief. We want to see that after 3 years of academic studies for a 3-year degree and 4 years for a 4-year degree. So keep in mind, we want you to achieve, we want you to be successful, and you have the resources available. Thank you, Kwazi. I'm going to hand over now to Patejo, who's going to be discussing the academic rules. That's again in the college handbook, so please pay attention to Patejo. Again, remember, you will be covering this in detail with your peer academic mentor or your peer wellness mentors. Patejo, you can go ahead, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Good morning, first years. My name is Patejo Makaleng, for those who couldn't attend yesterday due to various reasons. Yes, today we continue with the handbook, and I'm going to cover the rules. Let me start sharing my screen. We know everywhere you need to have rules in order to maintain the discipline in everything. So imagine if your high school didn't have the rules, the school rules that they were having. I doubt if most of you would have been here if that was the case. So without rules, nothing will ever go right. So if schools had no rules, then majority of schools would have closed down because none of you would have attended, none of you would have been disciplined. So schools established those rules in promoting the discipline and a good behavior of students. So yeah, university is the same. We also have our own rules. So I'm going to cover the general rules. Some of them, you already have been through the approval of curricula since you are approved to be doing whatever the course you'll be doing. You did the application to study here, and the selection requirements has been done for you to be admitted for the course that you are admitted for, and the selection for postgrad, this applies for the postgraduates. Exemption from a module, this is when you were from another university and then you come here. Some of the modules could be exempted, but it depends if it does correspond with what we're doing here at UKZN. So I'll start with general rule number 9, because that's where most of you are currently at, the registration. In order to pursue their studies in any semester, all students of UKZN or of the university shall complete the application registration procedure. This is where most of you are in the moment. So thereby affirming their acceptance of the rules of the university. Remember, when you're doing your registration, the first thing you do before you proceed and with everything, you accept the university rules, meaning that you'll abide by every rules that has been written in this book. So the first thing you do is to accept the rules, saying that I affirm or I confirm that I'll be part of the UKZN and I'll abide by all the rules. So you are here. The council, on the recommendation of the Senate, may impose conditions on the registration of any students. So it depends. That's why most of you, when you're registering, remember, there are some certain things that you should meet. And remember, there's an era that we even talked about yesterday where you have to send something to the college for their approval. So this is where the council comes in, where they confirm your registration. And I'll just make a summary because we can't go through all of them. Some of them, they don't apply to you as a first year. So should a student fail to register for a semester, this one is when you are registered. Let's say you registered for first year or maybe first semester, and it happens that second semester maybe you don't get to register, or there are a lot of things that could hinder your registration. So in the case of an undergrad student, should the break in studies exceed 1 semester and the student has not been granted suspension as provided in the previously they were talking about what could, this is the exemption that they were talking about. So this exemption as provided for here under, the student shall register for consecutive semesters. Remember, when you're registering, it's either you're doing part-time or full-time, but even if you're doing part-time, you need to register for all the consecutive semesters. So on the application in advance to the relevant college and with the approval of the college academic affairs, a student's registration may be suspended for a period of time not exceeding 2 semesters. Under exceptional circumstances, a further such suspension of 2 semesters may subsequently be applied for an approval. So if you get to be suspended, maybe like I think Prim did cover where you get to be suspended and when not to be suspended. So if maybe you do get suspended, this is where the rule comes in. You'll be suspended, but for it says that period time not exceeding 2 semesters. So your suspension would not be more than 2 semesters. So the Deputy Vice Chancellor and Head of College may require that a student suspend his or her studies for a maximum of 1 semester should the student be unable to register for a valid curriculum that will allow satisfactory progress to be made towards the attainment of the qualification. It's the same thing where we're saying that at least pass 1 module out of 5. So if you fail to pass either at least 1, then this is where these rules apply. A student with a suspended registration remains subject to the rules of the university, because you're still part of the university, just that you are suspended. You are not excluded, you are only suspended. So the university rules still apply to you, and may return to registration before or at the expiry of the period of suspension. So after being suspended, you get to appeal and you can come back to register for your module for that period after that suspension period. The period during which registration is suspended shall not be included in calculation towards the minimum and maximum periods prescribed for any qualification in terms of General Rule 12, which we'll cover as we go along. Nor for the evaluation of eligibility for the award of degrees cum laude or summa cum laude in terms of general rules. These ones will be covered by KwaZu, where they're talking about the bachelor's rules. And then, yes, should a student fail to register for a semester, this is what we were talking about, where you're gonna get suspended, and then your suspended will be uplifted after you finished your period. And in the case of undergrad, this is what we covered. About the student must apply to the relevant college for readmission. Like I said, if you get to be suspended maybe for a semester, during that suspension, you should reapply to be part of the university again after your suspension. So you should do the appeal subsequent, which return to resume studies. Such readmission shall only be approved under the conditions, rules, and curricular application at the time of readmission. So you need to have valid reasons why you failed, because here we believe that we have all the support systems that the students need in order to succeed in their studies. So like we even said yesterday, please, whenever you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, there's anything that hinders your academic performance, kindly try to find help. Your first contact is your mentor. Tell your mentor that I am not coping, I can't do this and that. And then they will let you know how to apply for counseling. And we also have ADOs. We have all the support systems that could help you to avoid the suspension. So let this rule never ever get to you. And a student may register for a full-time or part-time student. When you're registering, you'll see that there's an option for full-time. Full-time is, if your degree is 3 years, it means that you will be here for 3 years, for that full 3 years, full-time. And then for those who are doing part-time, it means that instead of 3 years, you'll be adding another semesters. So your degree won't be 3 years as per full year. So a part-time student may not register for more than 65% of the normal full-time credit load. So if you check, KwaZu is going to cover the credit that you should do for each and every semester. So you can't take any modules more than 60% of the full-time credit load, because you're doing say part-time. If you're doing part-time, it means that you are exceeding this. You're gonna include some semesters in your qualification. So yes, in the case of student who changes registration status from full-time to part-time or vice versa, the semesters allowed for completion of the qualification will be prorated accordingly. So let's say you registered for full-time, and then there are some things that force you to change to part-time. So if you change to part-time, your qualification period will also change accordingly to what you change to. whether it's from part-time to full-time or full-time to part-time. So your period will also change accordingly. So that's the rules that apply for the registration. And in terms of payment of fees, saved by special permission of the Senate and the Council, an applicant shall not be registered until all relevant prescribed fees are paid. If most of you have been inquiring about the financial clearance hold that you're seeing on your registration process, until you pay your acceptance fee and your registration fee, there is no way you can be able to succeed to proceed with your registration. So that's why you're getting that financial clearance hold. So for it to be removed, you need to pay your full registration fees. Then that's where they will uplift your hold. A student shall not be entitled to admission for an examination, nor to receipt of examination results until all relevant prescribed fees are paid. If you check, I think it's also here in the rules, in the handbook, there's an amount that you should pay in order to be able to access your examination results. So if maybe they say you should pay 50% by first semester, it means that you should pay that 50% of your fees first semester before you can get access to your examination results. So if you didn't pay, don't be surprised if you get on your results, on your examination, final results, examination results, it's going to say results withheld. That's because you didn't pay, you didn't meet your minimum payment. So that's why your results are being held. They're going to only be released after you have paid your fees. A student shall not be entitled to the conferral or award of qualification until all monies due to the university have been paid. This also applies to your degree. After you need to pay all your fees for all the years that you've been in the university, for you to obtain your certificate or your qualification, whether it's a certificate, whether you're doing a degree, certificate, or diploma, up until you pay all your fees, there's no way you can get your degree or diploma or certificate. So that's the part of the fees. And General Rule 11 is on the concurrent registration. This is saved by special permission of the Senate. No student shall be registered for more than one qualification at the same time. Most of you have received 2 offers or 3. There is no way you can register for BCom Accounting, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Humanities at the same time. There is no way. So you should choose from those offers that you're getting. You should choose only one and then go ahead with it. There is no way you can be registered for more than one qualification. Shall any student, while registered at any other tertiary institution, be registered concurrent at the university or at the university? So if maybe you are a UCT student, you can't be UCT student and UKZN student at the same time. That's what they mean. In terms of the general rule 12, period of attendance, every candidate for a qualification shall meet the relevant attendance and performance requirements for each module and qualification as prescribed by the relevant college and approved by the Senate in order to obtain the requisite credit. The requisite credit is the credits that are needed for you for the qualification that you have been registered for. So that one, it just means that you need to adhere to your thing in your period of attendance. And then in terms of the module registration, this is where most of you are also at, where you need to register your modules after you have proceeded with your payments and you're also done with your thing. So General Rule 13 is the one near module registration, subject to General Rule 14, which is the one that we're going to cover next. No student shall be registered for any module unless his or her curriculum has been approved by the Senate. An approved curriculum may be modified only with the consent of the Senate. Remember, when you do your registration, there's some error or some note that appears if maybe you register for a module that you that doesn't that is not catered for your qualification, or maybe you selected more than the required modules. So that there's going to be a pop-up message that will ask you to get the permission from your college. So those are and then if maybe you do indeed qualify to take more than the required, the college will approve that. So that can only be approved by the college. Save by special permission of the Senate, no student may attend a module for which he or she is not registered for. Because you can, let's say, for now you are registered for BCom accounting, and then you go to attend some of the BCom general modules in the hope that you're gonna get some get results or get to write the exam. There's no way you can go and write exam of the module that you are not registered for. So those are the rules on module registration. And in terms of General Rule 14, which was stated in General Rule 18, ancillary, prerequisite, and co-requisite requirements. So that one, it means that a college may prescribe ancillary modules, or ancillary means the module that you need for your qualification. It's the core, it's more of a core module that actually is needed, like Prim explained, in BCom qualifications, most of the time is the Econ 101. Most of you guys will be doing 101, and without that 101, you can attain your degree because it's a core module. So a college may specify the attainment of a minimum mark or more than 50% on a prerequisite module, a specified mark in a module, a specified mark in a module, or any other requirement before registration for the proposed module is permitted. For those who will be doing economics, you can't do economics 201 or 202 without completing economics 101 or 102. It's the same thing with accounting. You can't do accounting, the second year accountings without finishing your 101 and 102. So those are the prerequisites. That's what they mean by saying prerequisite. Prerequisite, it means that there is a module that you need to pass in your first year in order to register the corresponding module in the second year. So you should check which modules are those which are the prerequisite for the other. And those are also here in the handbook. Registration for a module will be conditional on meeting all co-requisite and prerequisite requirements for that module. So that's what I just explained, that you can't register for a corresponding module without meeting the requirements of the prerequisite. So yes, in terms of General Rule 15, absolute modules, this one doesn't apply to you yet as a first year, but it means that, let's say you take a gap, or you take, you get suspended or you take a gap, saying that, okay, maybe I'll come back after 2 years to do second semester. When you come back, you might find that the modules that you have done before are no longer relevant for the qualification. So that's what we mean by the absolute. So it means that they're no longer relevant. So you'll have to start over and do the relevant modules. So yes, General Rule 16 DP. This will apply to you at the end of each and every semester. So students shall not present themselves for examination in any module unless the module coordinator or lecturer has certified that they have met the DP, which is the duly performed certificate requirements for the specified module. So DP is actually your progress throughout the semester, your marks throughout the semester. So let's say you fail test 1 and then you pass test 2 and you get to not write test 3. There's no way you can get your DP. Your DP is actually all the marks that you have obtained throughout the semester, and then they're gonna add them together in order for you to get to get to the examination. So without the dually performed certificate, you can't write your exams. So it's usually 40%, but it also depends on the qualification that you're doing. So you need to obtain that percentage in order for you to qualify to write your exams. So such DP certificate shall be valid only for the examinations, including supplementary examinations of the semester in which it is issued. So it does also supplementary exams is when maybe you couldn't write an exam and then they give you an exemption, but that exemption should have at least a valid reason why you missed the exams, or maybe you wrote your exams and you couldn't, you obtained 40%. And we know that in the university, our pass mark is 50%. So that's where they will give you an exemption to write a supplementary examination. So even when you're writing your supplementary examination, you're still gonna need your duly performed mark. So if you don't have any DP or you didn't qualify, it means that you can't even proceed to write your supplementary examination. So with the consent of the school board concerned, in exceptional circumstances, the DP certificate may be extended to the relevant subsequent semester, in which case, but it's a rare case because each DP, it applies to each and every semester. So unless maybe it's your module is it's an annual module, that's where the DP would only apply at the end when you're writing your final examination. The DP requirements for each module shall be published in the college book and in any other manner deemed appropriate by the college. So if you check under the degree that you registered for, you'll see that there is a DP, there is that duly performed mark that they wrote, the percentage on how much you should obtain in order to qualify for the examination. And in each and every module, where after registration, when you're starting with your lectures, the lecturer will set an outline where it outlines the marks that the test that you're gonna write and how the DP will be calculated. Because some tests might contribute more. Maybe test 1 might be 40%, test 2 10%, and then assignment 15. So it depends on how the lecturer is going to set out the outline. So check the outline and see how much you should obtain, or how much your DP actually contributes to your final mark. Okay. The DP certificate right of appeal. This is when you couldn't get your DP. Maybe the requirement was 40% and you got maybe 35. So there are conditions that should be met in order for you to appeal. So students have the right to appeal against the refusal of DP certificate in terms of General Rule 16. That's the rules that we just read. An appeal must be lodged with the relevant school in the prescribed manner or on or before the date specified in the sessional dates. The sessional dates are there on the school website. There is a specific day where we're gonna write exams, where you should do your appeals and everything. So you should check your sessional dates on when is the last day of DP appeals in order for you to lodge your complaint. Such appeal shall be considered by an appropriate committee, the composition of which shall be approved by the Senate. So going to lodge a complaint or the appeal, it doesn't mean that it's going to approve. There are conditions that should be met for you to get your appeal approved. So in terms of examination, an examination may be written and or oral, and may include practical work. So in terms of examination, it's the same thing. It depends on the course that you're doing or the module, the specific module. So some examination are written, some of them maybe they will say, okay, it's an oral examination, or for those who are doing health science, most of the time is their practical work. So it depends on the course outline. So that's why you should read each and every course outline of each and every module. So they are not the same. Don't assume that if economics 101 they're doing like this, it means that accounting 101 they're gonna do the same thing. It doesn't work like that. External examination and moderation. Examination scripts. To aid academic development, students may view their examination scripts. This used to under the supervision, but now since everything is online, there are no examination scripts anymore. So everything is online now. Remarking but that doesn't mean that if maybe there's an error in your exam, you can't see that. Because remember, you're gonna submit your examination online, and then after the marking, they're gonna send your script back to you. It doesn't really have to be on paper or a document, but it can be sent online again. So you can check your complaints and then you lodge them accordingly, like you did with your appeal for DP. So yeah, and then examination sessions. All examinations shall be held in the prescribed sessions approved by the Senate. The session, the examination sessional dates are also there on the sessional dates by the university. But even the sessional dates are not the same for each and every college. So you should check for your own college on which time or which date are your examinations. And supplementary examinations, like I explained, is when you didn't meet the 50% pass, but you met at least 40. So that's when you get granted the supplementary examination. Special examinations, this will apply to you later on when you failed maybe one, but no, this one is a special examination. It's only at the end of your degree. Maybe let's say you have one module left, so that's where it's going to apply to you. So it doesn't apply to you now up until you reach your last year of the degree. Standard and supplementary and special exams is the same thing, that it doesn't apply to you. Limitation on awarding supplementary and special examination. I did say that supplementary examination, it's when you didn't meet certain requirements, maybe 50% of the pass rate, and then you get and you need to motivate why they should grant you the supplementary examination. Completion of modules. Every module shall be completed by passing the Senate approved assessment in that module. Like if you check your outline of each and every degree, there's an outline of the credits that should be met. Prim just showed you earlier that you should achieve all those credits in order for you to be, but if it's 16%, you should 16 credits, you should get all those 16 credits for each and every module in order to complete your module. Pass mark, the pass mark for all modules in the university shall be 50%. Getting 49% is a fail. There is no way where you say they will round off. There's no rounding off. 49% is a fail. So you need to get 50%. And even provided that any sub-minima required in certain components of the Senate approved assessments have been made. So you need to get 50% of the when they're adding your DP together with your examination. So that's where the 50% comes in. So you can't be like, okay, I'm not gonna attend the test, I'm not gonna do assignment, I'll only focus on the examination and get 100%. That it doesn't work like that. So 50%, it means that it's everything that you were doing throughout the year together with your examination, and then they add them together. You should get 50% from all the work that you've been doing throughout the semester. If it's a semester module or if it's an annual, it's everything throughout the year. So completion requirements. This is your completion of your degree. You should meet all the you should achieve all the credits for you to get your completion of degree. And in order to get that certificate, degree, or diploma, you need to pay all the monies owed to the university. And we also have classification of results. Classification of results, we do, if you get 75% upward, it means that you are in the first class. So those are the first class students here in the university. Even high school, I think there were categories that you guys were following. So it's the same thing. So less than 50% is a complete fail. 49.4, it doesn't matter, it's a fail. 50 to 59 is the third class, 60 to 69% is the second class, but in a lower division, and then 70 to 74% is second class, but in the upper division. So you should know that based on credit weighted average of all modules passed. So the classification results, it's actually let's say you were doing 5 modules, they're gonna add them and then categorize you according to what you got, your average mark. So yeah, and then academic exclusion, Prim did touch on that. And after being excluded, you can do your appeal. And when you're doing your appeal, you should also emphasize why, or should have documents like your doctor's letter and all those things that's supporting why you missed your examination and why you couldn't perform well, or your academics, why you achieved the poor academics marks, while we think we have all the support systems that could actually help you not to be excluded. So please, whenever you feel like you can't, any little disruption, just make a call to your mentor and raise your issue as early as possible for you to avoid being excluded. Because that record is going to be in your academic records, and everywhere you go, it's going to go with you, and you can't afford to have that bad reputation hanging over you every time wherever you go. So in terms of ethics, all academic activities and research in particular shall comply with the relevant university policies on ethics and any related requirements determined by the council. So those are the general rules that are going to apply to you. And the moment you register, the first thing you check is the rules. So you should read all those rules, because the moment you sign your registration, it means that you're gonna abide to all the university rules or all the rules that are in this book. So those are the things that you should check. Okay, I'll ask a question just to check if you guys were listening. Wait. You can type your answer on the chat. On the chat, it's fine. I'll be able to check it. Thank you guys for your participation, and thank you for your attendance. This actually would help you in order to get all the information that you need to go through your first years. So yes, thank you guys. Kwazi, you can take over.
Thanks so much, Petefo. Greetings to the colleagues and all our first years. As it has been indicated, I'm KwaZulu-Natal, and I'll just be talking a little bit about the college rules for bachelor's degree. So my presentation has 2 parts. I have a PowerPoint slide where I'll just explain some general rules, and then thereafter I'll go to the college handbook itself and then do some demonstrations in terms of how you can find your degree, the rules of your degree. For instance, what modules are needed for you to do, how many credits are needed for you to actually graduate or complete your qualification. So the first thing that I'd like to start off or start speaking about is the term credit. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it since yesterday, and today my colleague has spoken a lot about it. But what is it, and why is it important for you as a student to actually understand credit? Well, credit or credit points, it's a measure of the volume of learning required for qualification. It is quantified as a number of notional study hours, including any activity in which a student is involved that relates to their mastering of an outcome. The outcome here is graduating or finishing qualification on time. Okay, so basically, when you think about credit points, you're thinking about the effort that will be required from you to actually finish your degree on time, and the actual effort that is needed per module in your degree. So, as an analogy, you can think of it as staircases. So credits, they are the steps in each and every staircase. So they tell you that to move from this stage to the next stage, this is the amount of effort that you need to put in, so that you can actually get your qualification on time. So as I'm saying, your credit points, they tell you how much effort that is required from you to actually finish your qualification in time. So you can think of credit points as the amount of time that you're required to put in per module so that you succeed in the particular module. Most modules at UKZN, they usually have about 16 credits, and each credit point is equivalent to an hour. So if we have a module that has 16 credits, so you need 16 credits to pass that module. That means at the end of the day, you need to put in 160 hours towards that particular module. I'm sorry, each credit point is not an hour, but it's equivalent to 10 hours. So if you take 16 credit points, and then you multiply by 10, then you get 160 hours. That means the amount of effort that you need to put in terms of hours is 160 hours. So that includes attending lecturers, attending tutorials or practicals if there are practicals, doing your homework if there is homework, anything, any related activity to that particular module is included in that 160 hours. Okay, so you can actually now decide as a student that, okay, I know that 160 hours are required for this module, so I'm going to plan ahead now. How am I going to distribute this 160 hours and manage it so that at the end of the day, I do actually graduate and finish my qualification in time? Okay, so basically that is all about credit points, or that is the most important thing about credit points, is that they give you an idea in terms of how much effort you need to put in towards your particular modules. As an example, I have made two examples here that if you are doing a Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting degree, at the end of 3 years, if you have passed all your modules, you will have accumulated a total of 448 credits. Okay, so that means in terms of effort that is required to do a BCom accounting degree over a span of 3 years, you will need to dedicate a minimum of 4,480 hours. So that 4,480 hours, it's divided between your first year modules, your second year modules, and your third year modules, which normally at first year it's about 5 per semester, and then as you go up to third year, it becomes 4 per semester. So that's just an example. And then for a Bachelor of Business Science degree, which is 4 years, at the end of 4 years, if you have passed all the modules in that degree, you will have accumulated 560 credit. So that means in order for a student to have a degree or to graduate with a Bachelor of Business Science degree, they need to put in at least 5,600 hours of effort towards the particular degree. And again, those hours, they are divided between your first year modules, second year modules, and third year modules. Okay, so I think it's now clear that how the system of credit works. It actually gives you an idea, the number of steps that you need to take as a student before you can actually get your qualification. Okay. Credit points are related to rule number GR28 in our college handbook. And this is the part that actually relates to credit points. It says credit, a student will complete their academic degree or academic qualification, save by special permission of the council upon the approval of the Senate. The qualification shall not be conferred or awarded until credit has been obtained for all prescribed modules, including prerequisite and co-requisite modules. So it's not just a measure of effort that you need to put in per modules, but it's also something that can hinder you at the end of the day. If you do not meet all your credit points, then you will not be awarded your qualification. So if you have a qualification like Become Accounting, which requires 480 credit points, that means at the end of 3 years, you need to have accumulated 480 credit points. If you have 470 credit points or 460 credit points, that means you will not be awarded. It means you do not meet the requirements for obtaining the particular qualification. Okay, moving on. Some of the rules that are there under bachelor's rules, they have to do with module enrollment limitations. So how many modules does a student can register per semester, the maximum or the minimum. Here we have some rules for part-time students. So part-time students, those are students who are not full-time registered, they may be working and attending at night and so on. So part-time students, they are not allowed to register for modules whose credit total more than 48 credits in one semester or 96 credits in 2 semesters or in a year. So if you're a part-time student, that means you are registered, but you also do something on the side. You may not register for more than 48 credits in one semester, and you may not register for more than 96 credits in a year. This is so that you can actually have time to manage your studies. Because if you're doing something else on the side and you want to do, for instance, 64 credits in a semester, then 64 credits is 64 hours. So you can multiply that 64 and get the total number of hours that is needed for that module, which can actually become very uncomfortable for you in terms of how you can manage that and also do something on the side. So as a part-time student, this is a rule that you need to keep at the back of your mind. And then full-time students who are in good academic standing and are not subject to specific professional limitations, those students, they shall not register for modules exceeding those specified in the program set out below in any one semester or a year. So if in a semester you need to register for 64 credit, even if you are on good academic standing and you have no professional, you are not attending any professional processes, you cannot register for more than that amount. Okay? So I know that at the back of your mind as a student, it seems like a tempting thing to do. If you can do all of your degrees credit in one semester and graduate early, that will be lovely and fascinating. But remember that this is hours, so you cannot do more than you can handle. So if the handbook says it's 64 credit, you cannot go above 64 credit. However, in exceptional circumstances, a student may be granted permission to register for additional modules carrying a credit weight of no more than 16 credits per semester. So I will not delve too much to this because these are exceptional circumstances and the discussions around them will happen if you ever find yourself in those circumstances where you want to register for more than the required credits in that particular semester. Moving on, so we are still on module enrollment limitations. So here, Petejo has spoken a lot about this in terms of prerequisites. What it basically means is that there are some modules that you cannot do unless you have done a particular module. So Petejo made an example with economics that if you want to do economics 201 next year and economics 202, you need to do economics 101 this year and economics 102 this year. Similarly, if at third year you want to do economics modules such as Econ 306 or Econ 314, you cannot do any third year modules unless you have passed Econ 201 and Econ 202. So it's actually very important to actually go and check and verify with your academics in terms of which modules are prerequisite for you to actually progress yearly by yearly up until you finish your qualification on time. So you can also do your curriculum advice so that you are actually sure of what you can do. I'm saying you have to consult with your academics in addition to the handbook, simply because sometimes the information that is on the handbook in terms of modules, you may find that that particular module that is there is not offered either in Pietermaritzburg campus or Westville campus in that particular year, and it has been substituted by another module, but only for that particular year. And so you need to actually confirm with your academics, even though you have read your handbook, college handbook, you know which modules are required, but you also need to verify with your academics by doing your curriculum advice process. Okay. While we are still on module enrollment limitations, you need to also pay attention to the actual modules that you are registering for, because some of these modules, they actually carry the same weight. They are actually the same module, but given sometimes different names. For instance, in economics, we'll have Econ 101 and Econ 105, which whether you do Econ 105 or Econ 101, you have done the same thing because they carry the same load, they carry the same weight. What you study in Econ 101 is what you study in Econ 105. So you need to pay attention to those types of modules. So for instance here, if you do accounting 102, you can't do accounting 103. You'll just be wasting your time. If you do finance 104, you can't do accounting 101 as well. So you can either do accounting 101 or accounting 104, and so on and so on. But this is also important for students who are doing BCom General, okay? Because if you're doing BCom General, and once you start doing accounting 101, accounting 102, that means you are actually doing modules for BCom accounting. Whereas if you're doing BCom General, you should be looking at things like finance and economics, which are the most popular majors in the BCom General degree. So you need to be also very careful in that particular sense. So again, this can be confirmed by doing your curriculum advice, okay? Find the handbook is there, you can read it, but you need to confirm it also with your curriculum advice, because things, they may change each and every semester. Okay. Our first speaker today, which was Prim, spoke a lot about the progression and exclusion policy at UKZN. So I'll just skip this, but I want to emphasize that as a student, you need to have goals that you set for yourself, okay? And those goals that you set for yourself, they will actually help you avoid things such as exclusion, okay? So one of the goals that you can have is that my goal is to finish my qualification on time. So if a degree is supposed to be finished in 3 years, my goal is to finish it in 3 years, and put in your effort towards attaining that goal. And the other thing that I would advise is that always aim high. Don't judge yourself by the past, by what happened in matric or in grade 12. Just always aim high and say, in this upcoming test or this upcoming exam, I want to score 90. You aim high, so that even if you don't score 90, at least you land on 70 or 60. But if you aim for 60, that means when you don't land on 60, you actually go down maybe to 50 or even 40, which then becomes a fail. So always aim high as a student so that you can avoid being academically excluded. Okay. And once you fall in love with a degree like that, it will actually become much more easier to understand the content and to actually answer any questions that might come across you. But if you have a negative attitude, especially if that attitude will get it from your friends who have done that particular degree on that particular module, they'll tell you that that module is very problematic, or teachers in that module are very problematic, and they are giving you a negative attitude, which may actually land you in exclusion. But always have positive attitude. Okay, and as part of the bachelor rules is that when it comes to exam times, sometimes you can write an exam and then you don't do well in an exam. The good thing is that the rules, they actually give you a second chance. You have an option of writing your supplementary examination exams. Okay, so if on your exam you get at least 30%, then you will qualify for that supplementary exam. So this 30% is only for your exam. It doesn't include your DP that Prerequisite spoke about. So it doesn't include your semester mark. It's just the mark that you obtained on the exam itself. If it's above 30%, then you will qualify to write the supplementary exam. There are also other types of examinations that you can write, such as special exams or aggregate exams, but we will not get into details into that right now. So that's the end with my slides. Now I would like to go to the handbook itself and then start demonstrating some of the things. So there are a lot of qualifications that are there. And so I'll just pick maybe 3 or 4. The aim is so that when you are at home, you are actually able to read this document and understand it on your own. So it's not just about we are going to spoon feed you everything, but to actually teach you how you can understand the document on your own. So the information on bachelor's degree, on the rules of bachelor's degree, it starts from page, I think it's page 57 of the college handbook. And then this is where I want to go. So our first example, it's going to be a degree called Bachelor of Business Administration, or BBA-DM. Okay. The first thing that you notice is that the first rule, called LMU9, is the rule about eligibility. So it tells you that who qualifies for a Bachelor of Business Administration degree. Okay. So, and you can tell here that applicants are eligible to apply to register for the qualification of Bachelor of Business Administration if they've previously obtained an MSc bachelor's degree pass. And in addition to that, so you need a bachelor's pass from your matric, but in addition to that, you need a minimum of 26 points, excluding life orientation, with level 3 mathematics, level 4 English, and English can be either home or first language, and level 4 life orientation. Okay, so if you have 26 points from your matric, then you can qualify for a Bachelor of Business Administration degree. Now, what students always misinterpret or misunderstand is that if the requirement, the minimum is 26, then they automatically think that, okay, then it means I'm going to get the offer immediately, or I'm going to be able to register immediately. But that's not the case. 26 points is just the minimum. You will find that there are people who will apply for the same degree that has 34 points, 32 points, and 30 points, or 28 points, and so on. And so when the university approves applications, it will start there. It will start with the highest points. So if you have 34 points, it will start with you. And then once it's finished with every student that has 34 points, it will go to those with 32 points, those with 30 points, and those with 28 points. And the challenge is, by the time the university gets to students with 28 points, for instance, you find that there are no longer spaces in that particular degree. All the spaces that were available there have already been allocated to students. So even if a minimum is 26 points, always aim higher, okay? Always do more. If it's 26 points, your target should be 30 points, and so on. The only difference with this degree is that people who have matric exemptions, so people who have matric exemption are those people who did not do your grade 12 like we normally do, but they received a particular special exemption. So for instance, find that all the people who are learning with the old systems, they can go and apply and do little test, then get a matric exemption. So for those people, they will need 30 points instead of 26 points. So their minimum is 30 points, so they should aim for at least 34 points and above. Students who have also done some short courses in UKZN, particularly the certificate in business administration, and have achieved a weighted average of 60% and a final mark of 55% on that course, then they can also qualify. Now, this is the important thing. The second rule will tell us about the credits and the modules that are required for each and every student to do. So if you have been registered for Bachelor of Business Administration, at first year, okay, first semester, you will have to do 1, 2, 3, 4 modules, okay? You'll have to do Business Management 101, which is equivalent to 16 credits. And we know now that 16 credits means 160 hours of effort and commitment to this module, okay? You also need to do Econ 101. You also need to do Basic IsiZulu language if you have not done it at high school, okay? But if you have done isiZulu at high school, the university will automatically exempt you. And then on that space where you were supposed to do Zulu 101, you can do other modules such as BPA P1C3, which is Communications and Business 101. But if you did not do isiZulu at high school, you definitely need to do it. Here, that is why there's a star there to indicate that it's compulsory. In semester 2, okay, before semester 2, if you add all of these credits for semester 1, that means you will have to do or accumulate 64 credits at the end of semester 1. So at the end of this semester, if you are doing this degree, you need to have accumulated 64 credits. So how much is 64 credit in terms of hours? It's 640 hours. That means for you to actually say to yourself, I've managed to complete my first semester with a good year, you will need to put in at least 640 hours of effort. So remember, don't think of it as this huge amount, just think of it as something that you can break down and manage. So you can break it down to 16 hours or 116 hours for each module, And then in each module, you go now and say, take that 160 hours, and then you decide how are you going to divide it between lecturers, tutorials, and your study time. In semester 2, you will need to do business accounting, Econ 102, and computing 102, as well as business law. It's the same amount of credits at the end of the semester, which is 64. The total credits for this semester, for this year, which is your level 1 year, will be 128 points or credit points. Okay. All right. So remember that for you to remain on a good academic standing, that means you will have to, at the end of this year, you will have to have at least 75% of credits that are due in level 1 or in this year. So if you have 128 credits that are required, you need to have at least 75% of these 120 credits to remain on good academic standing. Another thing as well is that for each and every semester, so semester 1 there's 64 credits, that means you need at least 70 credits, okay, 70% credits of 64. Sorry, let me rephrase that. You need at least 70% of this total, which is 64, so that you can remain on good academic standing, and it applies on both semesters. So for the whole year, it's 75% of 128 per semester is 70% of 64, and so on. So, and these are the modules, so it's now easier. These are the modules you'll be doing for second year. If you are still doing the Bachelor of Business Administration, again, it's a total of 128 credits at the end of the year. At third year, again, these are the modules that you will be doing, that you need to register for, so that you can get your qualification, which is the Bachelor of Business Administration. Okay. So if you add this 128 for the third year and the 128 for the second year and the first year, you get a total of 384 credits. Okay. That means if you want to have this qualification, you need to have 384 total credits at the end of 3 years. If it's less than that, you will not get your degree. I will not speak about this now because earlier Prim did speak about this table. But again, you can see here that no matter how you look at it, whether you look at normal progression or minimum progression for good academic standing or minimum progression to avoid exclusion, in order for you to graduate, at the end of the day, you will need to have 384 total amount of credits. Okay. So that's it for business administration. I'd like to scroll down and check for a degree that is in a different school, because this one and the business administration degree, they're on the same school. Okay, maybe let's take this one. Yeah, so human resource management, it's offered in Westville. If you are registered for this degree, immediately you can see that in semester 1, first year, in semester 2, first year, you need to have to target 80 credits to accumulate the total amount of 80 credits. That means at the end of the first year, you will need to have a total of 160 credits. Okay? And how do you get those 80 credits? You get them by doing these modules. So this is your introduction to individual behavior, which is HRM. You also need to do introduction to public administration, Management 120. That is first semester. Second semester, these are the modules that you need to do. Okay. The second year. Now I like what is happening here. Here it says this module, career management, was not offered from 2020. Okay. What it means now, it takes you back to that process that I was telling you about. It. You need to go and do your curriculum advice so that you know exactly which module should you do in space of this particular module here. Okay, you can't just do any other module because modules, they don't carry the same weight, or some modules are core modules, some are prerequisite, and some modules are just elective. And you can't, for instance, replace an elective. You can't replace a core module with an elective. Okay, you need to replace a core with a core. And then after your 3 years, you will have accumulated a total of 416 credits. So that's the amount of credits that you need to actually graduate with this particular degree. And again, we will skip this table because it has been covered. Okay, here's another degree that I think it's most important because most students are actually registered for this one, which is the Bachelor of Commerce General. So again, eligibility, you need to have to pass with Bachelor in your matric, and you need to have obtained a minimum of 30 points, excluding life orientation. You need level 4 mathematics, level 4 English, and level 4 life orientation or equivalent. Okay. So this is tricky. Even though your life orientation, your life orientation points does not make up your total NSC points, but you still need to pass it in a sense, simply because life orientation is about life skills, study skills, and so on and so on. So if you have failed life orientation in high school, that tells a story. It means that you have failed to acquire simple life skills. You have failed to acquire simple study skills. So it can actually question your credibility if you want to come to university. Or someone will say, if you have not acquired life skills, how are you going to survive at university? So this is why you also need level 4 life orientation. Okay, so also applicants that have a qualification in NQF level 6 qualification and above from SACA accredited institutions, they are also eligible for BCom program. The structure of the BCom general program, at first year, which is level 1, you'll be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules per semester. So if it's 5 modules and each module weighs 16 credits, that means each semester you should target at least 80 credits and 80 credits. And then for the whole year, you should target at least 160 credits. I'm advising students to actually target these numbers instead of the 75 and the 75% and 70%, because in that case, if you get less than 75% of 160, then you automatically get to a riskier position. So always aim high. Okay. So first semester this year, students that will be doing BCom General, they will have to do Accounting 101, Principles of Microeconomics, which is Econ 101, ISTN 101, Management 120, and Maths 134, which is Quantitative Mathematics. Okay. And then in second semester, you will do Accounting 103 or Accounting 102 if you are majoring in accounting. You also have to do Econ 102, ISTN 103, Introduction to Commercial Law, and Stat 130. Okay, and you need to ensure that you pass all of these credits. If you don't pass, you will be extending your life at UKZN because, for instance, if you fail Econ 101, that means next year, first semester, you have to repeat Econ 101. So instead of doing Econ 201 that semester, you'll be doing Econ 101, which means you have already added the semester in your life at UKZN. So if this degree was 4 years, it means now for you it's going to be 4 years and an additional semester because you did not acquire that particular credit on time. So always ensure that you pass each and every module. At second year, for Become General, these are the modules that you'll have to register for. Management 2 SM, which is also 16 credits. You also have systems analysis, ISTN 211, ISTN 212, and so forth and so forth. Now you can see here that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 modules, okay? But the requirement is that you do at least 6 of these modules. So again, the issue of curriculum advice plays a critical role here. You need to now go and check with your academics and say, I'm doing Become General, I'm majoring in finance or economics. So out of these 7 modules, which one I will need to do so that I will actually graduate? Because some of these modules are just electives, and so they don't add any value basically towards you obtaining your degree. So always do that curriculum advice process as well. Level 3, you will do at level 3 with Become General. So if you were majoring with economics and finance, that means at level 3, you will be only doing economics and finance modules. You will take 2 econ modules and 2 finance modules first semester, and 2 econ modules and 2 finance modules second semester, and then you get your degree. Again, I want to stress the issue of curriculum advice, because even then, there are modules that are just elective, even though they are third-year modules, and you need to get clear curriculum advice so that you pick up the correct modules. But just as a hint, if you are majoring in economics and finance, there is only one module at third year that will be required, and that is Econ 314. You are majoring economics and finance, you will not graduate unless you have done Econ 314. All of the other modules, okay, will then become your elective. So this is for economics, and I'm sure there is also a compulsory module for finance, but both finance and economics will not graduate unless you have Econ 314. If you want to do honors in economics at third year, you also need to do Econ 315, which is mathematical economics. That way you will also qualify for an honors degree. All right. I'd like to scroll down and yes, and do Bachelor of Commerce in Law, and then I will stop from there because I think we have an idea now of what is, how you can read the handbook. Okay. So for Bachelor of Commerce, when you are doing law, Bachelor of Commerce in Law, at first year, so first year this semester, these are the modules you need to do: Accounting 101, Econ 101, Introductory Legal Studies, Management, as well as Quantitative Methods. It's semester 2, you will need to do these modules, and the minimum credits that are required for you to pass your first year will be 160 credits. Okay. At second year, again, it's the same story. from all of these modules, you need at least 4. So you need to do curriculum advice to actually get the important modules that you need to do or register, so that at the end of the day you do graduate in time. And this is very important because sometimes a student will register only electives and don't register any core modules. And then you find that when it's time for graduation, you can't graduate because you have not done core modules, you've only done just elective. And then at third year, these are the modules that you will have to do as well. So I'd like to stop here because the aim was not to actually teach the whole handbook, but the aim was to actually try to make you guys understand it so that you can read it on your own. So I expect that after this meeting, you will go back and sit in your dorm or in your rest or at home, and then go back and read your college handbook. But before I go to the issue of competition, there is something I want to show you because I noticed that on the chat, there have been a lot of questions about where to find the college handbook. Is it available to students? So I'm going to show you right now where you can access it and download it for yourself. Hopefully my internet will be faster today. Okay, another option was my internet is going to be slow. I'm going to write a link on the chat for everyone. So if you click on that link, it will take you directly to the college handbook, the one that I was just using. I've already sent the link. Okay. Thanks for listening. Now let's talk about the questions and the prizes.
Okay, we can ask the rest of the questions at the end. I think we need to give Pindi an opportunity because, you know, the issues that she needs to address are some of the issues that students have been asking related to registration and so on. So while you're looking for the winner for that, Pindi, you know, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much, Anna. Greetings to everyone, my colleagues and all the first year students who are here. I'm glad it's your second day here, but my first day, and I know that these sessions can be like information overload. I'm going to try, for the sake of time, I think I'm just going to go straight to the questions. Is that okay, Dr. Anna? Because I see that most questions are actually the talk that I was going to deliver. So I think it will be more effective if I just address the questions. Then if there's more questions after this, they can go on to the chat. Is that okay with everyone?
That is fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Hazel. I'm just going to read it out and then I will give an explanation after each and every question. The first question that is, we could have paraphrased it, but if you just listen to the question and see if it's relevant to the one that you asked on the chat, we will not be able to read each and every specific question. So we paraphrased it and just tried and consolidated every question into one if it's related to that particular subject. The first question was, I haven't received any response when I sent an acceptance of offer. So what do I do because I've already paid the acceptance fee? The issue with the acceptance is not only the fee, the issue is the documents. And the bigger issue is the type of documents that you must send in. Remember, you have to pay for the acceptance of offers. So we need to see the proof of payment. There is on the letter that you get on your email, the letter will list the type of documents that you must include. There's a consent and indemnity form. There's an acceptance of offer form. There's an acceptance of residence form if you've been granted residence. And then there is the copies that we need, or the documents that we need from you, are the certified copy of your ID and your recent matric result. Now you find that most of the time we will receive a consent and indemnity form, and a proof of payment, certified copy of the ID, and not the rest of the forms. Now, because of the legal matters that go with accepting the offer at the university, if you read your letter is very specific on certain things, including the POPI Act and many other issues, the marriage and community and out of property, things like that. We do need these documents that we request. So do not leave even one of the documents. Otherwise, if you do, you find that your acceptance is delayed, because now we need to communicate to you and say we need this document. And by the time we communicate to you, your request has already been sitting on the system for 3 to 5 days. So it causes further delays if you don't send the required documents on time. The next question is, when I register online, the qualification shown is the one I accepted under humanities. I thereafter received a BCom offer and sent my acceptance for this and declined the offer under humanities. Is there anyone I can contact in order for the qualification to change on the registration website? Okay, the process to change takes a little bit of time. Remember now that you are talking about 2 different colleges. You're talking about the College of Humanities, talking about the College of Law and Management Studies. Now, it depends on when one is going to be corrected on the system. For example, the one that you want to withdraw should be done first, ideally, because the system, when you log in, it's going to give you the very first qualification that you were offered and you accepted. Now, BCom General seems to be the qualification that was accepted after the humanities qualification. So humanities need to do the withdrawal first, and then BCom can show on the system. As far as updating them, we can update the BCom General acceptance while the humanities acceptance is there. But when you come to the registration system, the system will give you the very first one that was accepted, which will be in this case the humanities one. All right. The next question is, do I have to wait for a firm offer? I had accepted a conditional offer in order to register. All right. Remember that the conditional offer is the offer that you are given before your final matric results are downloaded from the education department to the universities or whatever institution needs them. The conditional offer is mainly based on your grade 11 results, grade 12 June, grade 12 trial results. Now, at the beginning of the year, if you've been given a conditional offer the year before, at the beginning of the year, when your results, your final results come out, and you meet the requirements, even if maybe you scored a little bit lower than what you had scored when we gave you a conditional offer, as long as you meet the requirement with the final result, then we convert that offer and we make it a firm offer. If you had already accepted the conditional offer, we will change that status on the system and say acceptance of firm offer. So you don't need to start the process again. So you do need to meet the requirements with your final matric results as well. So if you've already accepted the conditional offer, do not fill in another form if you've been given, if maybe you see the status on the system saying acceptance of firm offer. It's exactly the same thing, it's just that one was based on results before the final matric results were downloaded or were made available, and the other one is based on your final matric results. Okay, another question is, I accepted a firm offer 2nd Feb and haven't received an SMS in order to register. All right, this one goes hand in hand with the very first question we dealt with. We find that people do send in the forms, but there's a lot of documents that are missing. And there's a lot of follow-up that we must do. Now, remember that this is a large group of applicants. This is a large group. We are still selecting people to study. We are not only dealing with those who are registering. So the processes take a little bit of time. A process that will normally take 3 days will in this time, because it's the beginning of the year, take about 7 days. So be patient. If you have sent all your documents, just make sure that if you send the documents, it's all the forms. Personal documents like results, like the ID copy, they need to be certified, because remember, those are your personal documents, right? Next question, how do we get our student cards? Okay, due to COVID and the protocols that must be followed, and because the university prioritizes the health of their students, the public and the staff, you get an invitation of when to come and where to go for your student card. So if you haven't gotten an invitation, it could either mean your registration has not gone through on the system as yet, or you are in line to get your invitation. So if you just wait and you get an invitation, then you can come and do your student card. Remember that one of the protocols for COVID-19 is that there has to be a certain limited of percentage of people in a space based on how the capacity of that space. Now we can't have 70% of people on campus to collect student cards and make student cards and put everybody's health at risk just because we need to finish the process. So we have to do it gradually so that we adhere as well to the COVID-19 protocols. Next question, my registration says I have a financial clearance hold despite paying the 4.170. For registration, how do I go about completing my registration? Registration online can be done without financial clearance. You can go right up until the end. When you save your registration, then you will receive a message that says financial clearance required. Now, this means your registration is banked on the system. The moment the fees department or the fees office clears you, or the moment they see your money on the system and they check if it's sufficient, they will give you something called financial clearance. Once that is done, you do not need to go back to the system and do a registration. That banked registration that you did initially will then be released to you. The fees office, what they do is they will send you an SMS. The moment you are cleared, obviously, because of the number of students that we handle at the university, it's not going to be every time if I clear Prim Naidu, then Prim Naidu gets an SMS immediately. The next time I'm clearing Hazel Langa gets an SMS immediately. They will do it in batches. If, for example, they were clearing people from the 4th, 5th, and the 6th, then on the 7th, they're going to send a bulk SMS to all those people. So you find that the delays are there because of how the systems have to work. And remember, working with money is it's not an easy type of task. You have to be careful, you have to cross the T's, you have to dot the I's, you have to count where the dot is before the zero, because that amount will be different if that dot is in a different place. So if you can just allow the fees department some time, they do work on it. You do get an SMS to notify you that you are cleared. Another question, how do I go about the process in changing my degree from BCom General to BCom Accounting? Okay, this is twofold. I'm not sure if this question was relating to after registration or before registration. Before registration, if you were given a BCom General offer, you may fill in a change of mind. It is available on the UKZN website. Complete a change of mind to change into BCom Accounting. When you go to the UKZN website on the page where the change of mind form is, you will also find details per college of every staff member or a college email that you can send this form to. Okay, if you're changing within the same college, you don't have to make any payment because you are changing within the same college. If the second fold of this question is, if you are already registered for a BCom General and you decide, no, this is not for me, I want to do accounting, in that case, there are rules. There are working rules that are used by the school. The school is a school of accounting, economics, and finance. They will stipulate, for example, in 1 year, they stipulated that they need you to pass your first BCom General subjects with a 60% aggregate, and specific subjects like Accounting 101, Accounting 102 must be at a certain percentage, say maybe 55 or 60 or 65%, then you may qualify to move into BCom Accounting. These rules change every year depending on what the school is looking at. And remember that BCom in accounting, one of our speakers, one of my colleagues, touched on this. BCom accounting reports to SICA, which is an outside body. So there's a lot of prescriptions that are given to institutions that offer such qualifications. So they will change and modify their requirement as and when required. So what I'm saying now might not necessarily apply to you next year when you are in second year. Okay. Another question is, good day, I've received an SMS. It's about NSFAS. They've approved, and in order to receive this financial assistance, I need them. NSFAS needs the university to send through proof of registration. And how do I get the laptop data? Okay. First of all, as far as NSFAS is concerned, there is an arrangement between the universities or institutions of higher learning and NSFAS. The institution is able to give NSFAS your confirmation of registration or your proof of registration so that they may release the funds into your account. Now, it's very important that you contact your finding advisor. If you ask different people at the university, everybody's going to tell you according to their knowledge. And as we know, in the day and age that we live in, information is so liquid. Information changes all the time. If you have an issue with your funding, if you have NSFAS, contact your funding advisor. Do not contact an ADO. Do not contact an academic officer from the college student services. Contact the correct person, because you delay your process by asking different people and you get all sorts of information. As far as data for the laptop, the university requires that you have the correct cell number on the system, because this is what they use to allocate data. Now, this is done based on the private service providers, for example, MTN, Vodacom, Telkom, all of that. Now, the service providers process these information at different times. So the university will upload the data in different times as well. If you haven't gotten your data, you can email the ICS department. The email is data, D for dog, A for apple, T for Thomas, A for apple, at ukzn.ac.za, and just request information on when your data will be put through. Can I come and make my student card? Do I need an appointment or something? Okay, we've already dealt with that one. You will receive an invitation and you will have to apply for a permit to come into campus. That permit will be requested from you when you enter the university gates. Next question. I have received FEM offer from both PMB and Westphal for BCom accounting. However, UKZN website only shows Westphal. I think this is similar to the question I dealt with before, that the system will show whichever, when you are registering, the system will show whichever one the acceptance of offer was updated. So you need to send, okay, she says, or he says, I've submitted all documents and payment to PMB already, but doesn't show up. Okay, if you've already submitted this information to PMB, your intention to change campus to PMB, it's fine. It depends on the number of days that you have done this. As far as the payment is not specifically to PMB. Your student number is your account number at the university. So whether you're at Westphal, PMB, medical school, Edgewood, wherever you are, that student number is your account number. So whatever payment you make, it stays on your student number. So if you can just allow the office that you want to withdraw from, which looks like it's Westphal, and you want to go to PMB, allow that office to process your request, and then you can go on with your registration. Okay. We will be required to make student cards. Yes, we've answered that. I did try changing my module, but it was still not offered as a module. Do I perhaps need to cancel? Because I don't think I'll be able to write an exam without the first module. Yes, one of my colleagues spoke about the prerequisite. I'm not sure what module this is per se. I'm going to go and assume that it's Accounting 102 because first year modules hardly have prerequisite. The one that I'm very sure of is Accounting 102. Yes, you will be able to go back to the registration system online. Instead of choosing new registration, select change of curriculum. Click on that. It's going to show you the modules that you registered for in the first and second semester. They're all in green. You click next to the one that you want to change, save and continue. The next page will give you the options that you have. In this case, if it is Accounting 101 to 103, it will only give you Accounting 103 because there's no other option in the first year for Accounting 1 modules. The next question, hi, I have not received data. I think we've dealt with this one. You can email them at data@ukzn.ac.za. Next question, I've been successfully registered, but I haven't been given residency accommodation in the PNB campus. There's something I can do. I applied through the CAO. When you make your application, because of limited spaces that we have on-campus residences, we have to use the criteria of how far are you from the university. Is it easy to travel to the university? Even though we use that criteria, we are quite aware that the home environments are different for all of us. Some environments are noisy, some environments are not conducive for studying, but we have to have a certain criteria that we use. So the university uses a criteria for every college that is in this university. The criteria is you have to live in a certain area where it is not easy to commute between where you are residentially to the university every single day. You will be surprised sometimes that a person who lives in Amanzimtoti doesn't have residence, and yet the one who lives in Inanda has residence. It's because we have to consider that the transport mode from Inanda to campus, say maybe at Westville, compared to Amanzimtoti to Westville, these mode of transports are very, very different. It is more difficult to move from Inanda to Westville generally than it is to move from Amanzimtoti to Westville. So we will use a certain criteria to select you. So if your offer came without the resident offer, that means you have not been granted residence. You may phone the resident office directly, privately on your own, because there are sometimes off-campus residents that you can use and apply for. Next question, do I have to first pay the registration fee in order to create a LEARN password? No. You can create a LEARN password, and LEARN passwords are very character sensitive. You will find that it will say not less than 8 characters, and one must be a symbol, one must be a capital letter, and things like that. And the capital letter may not follow the symbol, so you have to be extra careful when you're doing this. But yes, you are able to go through and create a LEARN password. The only thing will be at the end of your registration, you will get an error that says financial clearance required, which means you need to pay for your registration and then you can have clearance. How do I know if I've been registered or not? Student Central is there for you as a student because it is not conducive to come and have a face-to-face consultation with an officer or a staff member. So Student Central is created for students. Play around on your laptop, on your phone, on your computer, play around and see what options are there where, but everything for a student, including a fee statement with a letterhead, is available on Student Central. If you go on Student Central under your administration, you'll be able to get proof of registration. If for any reason, now that you are a first-year student, I know as a parent that you will be taken off your mother or your father's medical aid plan. So for them to keep you on the plan, they need proof that you are studying. In this case, you need to contact Student records. Their details are on the UKZN website. You will find them there. You email them and say, I need proof of registration that has a stamp from the university. It's required for medical aid purposes or whatever official purposes you might have at the time. Next question. This is the last page, colleagues. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. I've already paid my acceptance of offer fee and registration fee and sent the proof of payment and acceptance of offer fee to who I was supposed to send the information to about 5 days ago. Yet I have not received any response from them. Is that normal? Yes, it's very normal. And again, it's based on everything I have mentioned before. The documents that you have sent, are they certified? Did you send all the forms that are concerning or relevant to the offer that you have? 5 days. We always talk about 5 working days or 5 working hours. Now, the working is really very important to take note of because this will include Saturday and Sunday. This will include after hours. I know that we have emailed you after hours at 9 at night, at 1 a.m. in the morning. It's only because we are trying to fast track every process that we have. It's not necessarily because we count those hours into the working kind of hours. All right. I've accepted the offer for BCom accounting, but currently still awaiting responses for some other courses I've applied for. If I register for accounting now and later on get accepted for another course, will I be able to change my course? Yes, you will. The later on is the key word. How later on is it? Is it after you have registered? Is it before you have registered? You must always remember that the university has a vast number of degrees and offerings for you, but at play is also the limited spaces. For example, the College of Science and Agriculture might look at the system and see that you've already accepted BCom in accounting. Then they will say, fine, the student already has a place to study at the university, give this to another student. So you need, it might not happen that you get an acceptance without saying, I would like to do this degree if you have already accepted another degree. You might have to send a communication and email and say, I would like to do this degree even though I've accepted this degree, so that if there are spaces available under that particular degree of your choice that you are opting for, you are considered. Is it compulsory for me to take up isiZulu during my course? I've seen a lot of isiZulu related questions. The introduction of isiZulu module at the university to the student is to help you communicate, because you've got to be on par with where the world is. Going out there, statistics show, and there's been so much studies around it, that you need to be able to communicate. The world is changing. So the Zulu 101 is offered to you as a subject to help you communicate. Yes, you need to pass it. Yes, there's technicalities in it, but you do need it as a person to just survive in the world that we are in. For all we know, the world might change and we might end up needing Mandarin. We might end up needing an Afrikaans language. It changes all the time. So this is done to be in line with the task that when you finish your degree, you need to go out there with the credentials that will put you at a better light to get employment. If you can communicate in more than one language out there, then it's more easier and you are at a better chance, to be considered. I'm not saying it's always the case, but you are in a better chance to be considered. So isiZulu language is compulsory for all our law and management degrees. It's offered as a second-year module. So when you register for your first year, you might not necessarily see isiZulu there as a module that you need to take. But for all the students who are Nguni-speaking students, Sotho, Xhosa, Shona, any Nguni-speaking language, if you feel that you did not do isiZulu in grade 12, but you feel that you are able to communicate your competency or your level of competency when it comes to this language, you are able, to prove how competent you are, you need then to apply for an exemption. right? There is a languages department in the university. You will need to contact them. They've got their contacts as well on the website. You contact them and then you say, can I please have an appointment? You'll have an assessment done. And once they have done that and they find you competent at whatever level they will require, they will send the document to the college office and say, this student has been found to be competent in the language, or the student has been found not to be competent in the language. For those who have done isiZulu as a subject in matric, I know somebody has already said it, you are automatically granted an exemption, but this exemption is an exemption with no credit, meaning that you need to replace isiZulu with another module that will give you the credit points. As I close, I think I've summarized all the questions. As I close, I would like to stress that please always contact the relevant office. The details are on the website. The website is your best friend, better than asking somebody physically. Contact the person that is relevant. This eliminates the delays of the response to your query. For example, if you've got an issue about fees, then communicate with fees. If you've got an issue academically, communicate with the department that deals with that. Use the website for contact details, for IT passwords, for any and every other thing. There are contacts on the system. Thank you so much, colleagues, and thank you for listening. I think the questions did cover almost all that I was going to say in my talk. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. It's been long. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pindi. We appreciate all your support and assistance always. Thank you so much. I'm just looking at the website that Pindi says you all must refer to. You all know it's the https:// to the right, www.ukzn.ac.za. And if I click under College of Law and Management Studies, it goes to late applications for 2022 are now open. Closing date is Friday, 11th Feb 22. Download your application form. It speaks about the undergraduate programs and all the different degrees. BCom accounting, so you do need to go to the website. Okay, I'm trying to get our first year page. Does anybody know for the first year page? Because it's opening up directly to the applications. Does anyone know the website for our first year page?
Hi, Prim, I have it and I'll put it in the chat right now.
Thank you so much. So if you also go to the link for the first year experience page, there will be a lot of links there. And I've put quite a few for data queries. Student Central is there. ICS student support I've put down in the chat box. So I think Pindi summarized this whole discussion this morning. You've got a college handbook you need to review. You were given a lot of links to use. It's all in the chat box and it's all online. You need to start playing around with the website. All the information is there, and rather go to the correct person. So if you have a query about Zulu, there's a lecturer responsible for teaching Zulu. You can email that lecturer and trouble them to get maybe further insight into it. Although you do find in the college handbook under the degree from page 57 onwards, you can see it listed there. It should be a one semester module, but we are having the curriculum academics coming tomorrow. So they will be discussing the curriculum tomorrow. If you need any help with your data, it's data@ukzn.ac.za. It's there in the chat box. Student Central, to confirm if you registered, it's on Student Central. You've got the link there. I can't remember all the links off by heart. I am getting older, but it's all in the chat box. And again, it's all on the website. You've got ICS Student Help Desk. So you can approach them for any help with things not working online for you. There's technical support. So you've got two links or web pages that I've sent to you, links that I've sent to you with regard to ICS Student Help Desk and Student Help and Support. So you can approach them as well. And please attend the sessions, as Rakshika has written there in the chat box. Please attend the sessions for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Curriculum advice. You'll have the lecturers addressing you. Thursday is another session at 10. You need to be there for Moodle. You all need to know how to use Learn 2022. And then Friday is your navigating your timetable and student support services. So you need to be available as well on Friday at 10 a.m. And in the meantime, your homework again for today is review pages 57 to 83. And I also want you to look at the syllabus, which is labeled syllabi plural at the end of the handbook, which discusses all the modules and the requirements for your modules. And I know Kwazi did a good job today trying to go through the different degree structures, but also go look at the syllabus at the back of the book, and you can then grill your lovely lecturers tomorrow. They'd love to be grilled tomorrow. And they'll say, what a waked up, a sharp bunch of students we have who are grilling us on the curriculum. You can ask them many, many questions, and they'll be only too helpful, only too joyful and happy to assist you with curriculum advice. If I've forgotten anything, Stabiso, if you'd like to come in, please, to conclude the session as the FYE coordinators, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Prem. I think everything for today was covered very well. And I'm also happy that Sis Pindi was here just to clarify some things. I think that there isn't much that was left out, to be honest. But obviously, there are questions that we are getting, while we are quiet. We are also trying to attend emails as possible, and also some questions that we are getting on the side. So I think with that, we can wrap up the session today. I know we are way above our time. So with that being said, I think maybe I can check with Dr. Anna if there is something that she would like to highlight as well very quickly. And if there isn't, then maybe we can end the session for today.
All right, thank you, Sabi. So thank you, Pindi, for, I don't know, it's like all the questions that students had, you had all the answers. We are really, grateful to have you on today's session. Thank you for making the time. Thank you, Behlego and Kwazi as well for, the presentations. So I just want to say tomorrow, some of you have been asking questions about, curriculum advice. In tomorrow's session, we have, the academics from the different schools. They are going to be facilitating a session on curriculum advice. So all the questions that you had about which modules you should register for and so on, they will be able to answer you. So please do attend tomorrow's session from 10 to 12, where you will meet your academics. We will also be there. If there are any other questions that you need to ask, we'll also be there. If there's still any other registration questions, you can send them to me. I'll always forward them to Pindi. She will definitely, respond to all of those questions. All right, so if there are no any questions or comments, maybe Pindi, you've got something to say? Just final words before we close.
Yes, the handbook is your best friend. The website is your best friend. You will not go wrong. Thanks, Anna.
All right, thank you, Pindi. So we'll meet you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Please do attend, because your lecturers will be here to talk to you about the actual curriculum. Thank you. See you tomorrow.